and welcome to Getting Your Money's Worth, the show that focuses on value. I'm Judith West, and our guest today is Linda Samuels, author of The Other Side of Organized. The Other Side of Organized. Okay. Thanks for being on the show. Linda, I was surprised when I was reading your book and reading some of your tips to find out that disorganized, at least in the chronic state, is almost considered some kind of a disease.
Well,
it seems like it's a mental state beyond just disorganized.
I definitely wouldn't call it a disease, but it's a situation that's probably more severe than someone that might just want to get their closets organized.
Okay, so let's talk about that. What is the difference between being disorganized, letting the closets go, the drawers are messy, the newspapers are piled up, the desks are scattered, and folks that are what you call chronically disorganized?
Well, if someone's chronically disorganized, there's basically 3 hallmarks to that.
Okay.
So the first would be that the disorganization is pervasive. It's affecting every aspect of their life, probably their relationships, their job, their families. It's been present for a long time, and they're feeling fairly hopeless that it's going to continue that way.
So it can be very stressful and debilitating.
Oh, absolutely. And you see major stress in families for people that are working in an environment where they're expected to be really organized and they don't know how to do that. There's stress from their bosses and their colleagues.
Yeah. Let's go to that. You said something interesting that struck a nerve. They don't know how to do that. Is being organized a learned skill, or is that something you're born organized?
Well, I've thought about it. I've wondered, is there an organizing gene? I've wondered, is there such a thing? And I think that the reason why I started my company, Oh So Organized, was I believe that it was a teachable skill. So some people truly are born with the ability to do it naturally. I think I was one of those. I just always did it, never thought about it. But there are others that it's not natural, and it's very difficult. And the trick is to figure out not some packaged way of how to help someone get organized, but how someone thinks and how they can organize around the way they think.
Okay, so let's talk about that. That's what you help people do. Well, for one thing, since this is a show of Getting Your Money's Worth, it's never too late to start.
Absolutely.
You can always make
start.
some inroads in your life. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I see folks every day do the same thing, go through mountains of paper looking for something. And I think to myself, why do you put yourself through that stress every single day? How would you start with somebody like that?
Well, the first thing is that there would have to be enough cause on their part to want to make a change.
So there has to be motivation.
There has to be motivation. If they're not motivated, what is it? People will change when they're ready to change.
Right.
So that's the first step.
So when someone calls you and says, I want to get organized, you consider that the first step?
Maybe.
Maybe?
It's a good step, but what I've learned, as I've been doing this for almost 20 years, is that just because someone calls you and thinks they want to have some help, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're ready to do all the things they really need to do to make the change. But that's okay. As long as they're willing to start, then
So how do you help people start? This is Getting Your Money's Worth. Let's give some people some tips for getting started.
It depends what they want to do.
Let's just say that you're disorganized in your office at home or your office at work. You waste a lot of time looking for things.
Okay.
What
would you do in that case?
Yeah, let's just take that piece of life.
Okay, so let's just say a home office. Should we do the home office? Okay. So the first step would be identifying with that person what they imagine that office to be like. Okay, we have to have a picture, a visual picture, a verbal sentence, whatever, so that they start to think about, we know they're not happy with how it is, but I need to have some clue as to what they're working towards.
Okay, so you ask them to define what they think it should be like.
Sure, and it doesn't have to be some huge thing, but they have to start to give me clues. And then I'll ask them a bunch of questions, and then based on that, I can look at what's actually going on to see how can I get them from this place that they're not happy with to the place they're trying to get
to. To me, to me, I couldn't imagine having an office, home, or any place else without a file cabinet. But that's
me too.
But that's
I love that file cabinet.
I love my file cabinet.
Right. What's not to love, right?
Yes. And I love my folders. Now it seems a little old-fashioned. I used to work for a guy.
Do you color code?
I color code.
Okay.
But I used to work for a guy that died. When he died, he was died one of the richest men in the United States, and he was an icon in retailing. And when you worked for him, he was one of those that you did everything. Your job description was very broad. And the first thing I learned was for every project I was working on and for everything that I did, I had a folder. And those folders sat in some kind of a thing,
a pecking order,
right? Along with a to-do folder. And that was my lifeline. If I couldn't find the folders, I was beyond
Beside
myself.
yourself, I know.
But I mean, in today's world, I don't think people file and folder and all that stuff so much.
Everybody's
different. They depend on piles.
Right, everybody's different. And that's one of the groups that I'm very involved with is the National Study Group on Chronic Disorganization. And I was
surprised to read about that.
Right, that there is such a good thing.
It's chronic disorganization.
That's right. And they have a lot of education for organizers and related professionals, and I've continued to get educated from them. But one of the things that we talk about a lot is that people learn differently, they think differently, they process differently. So the fact that folders and files and colors worked for you, that's great. It doesn't work for everybody.
Well, I think also perhaps folks that are much more dependent on keeping all their memory stuff in the computer and not,
Or what if they're auditory learners?
Right.
Or
visual.
Visual, sure.
I mean, I sort of.
You must be visual if you like the colors.
Yeah, I mean, I know if I put something here, I have an expression. I had it in my home with my children. I have it in the office. Everything has a home. If you put it back in its home, that's where it is. Right. And when I go and my home where my stuff has been touched by somebody else, it makes me nuts. I probably am chronically organized. Is there such thing as being chronically organized?
I've never heard that phrase, but no.
But this is chronically disorganized. I have the fact sheet, and one of the questions you ask is, and I didn't realize this, does your level of disorganization interfere with the quality of your life or negatively affect your relationship with others? Can that happen?
Absolutely.
How
Absolutely. Well, imagine if you have someone that is so challenged with that organizing piece that they can't, they're basic things. They're getting up in the morning trying to get dressed. I can imagine what your closet looks like. Gorgeous. It's probably all, categorized, color-coded,
well, I'm a retailer, too.
Okay, so you've got it all.
I'm accustomed to color coding and all that.
Well, that's like a dream closet in terms of what I can imagine. But for some people, not only is it not color-coded, they don't know if the things fit. They may be the wrong sizes, the wrong season. There may not even be hung. I'm sure you have them all hung the same direction, matching hangers, the whole thing, right?
Absolutely.
And you love it. But for some, the stress of just trying to figure out what to wear, because the closet isn't in an order, it makes the morning.
It starts the day out.
It's horrible. Or even something as simple as you get up, you go to the bathroom, you go to brush your teeth, you open the medicine cabinet, and there's no order, and everything's falling out on you. I mean, it's because you're not like that. It may be hard to imagine, but it's just snowballs throughout the day.
And Linda, life is tough anyway these days.
Exactly.
Why? It's almost like why would someone who's so disorganized get in their own way of at least having a good start?
Because it may not occur to them how to do it. They may not have the time to do it. They may not think in a way that lets them do it. Like what seems normal to us isn't to someone else.
When you work with folks that are chronically disorganized, what do? Take a little piece of their life, like if the forest is disorganized, what do? Take like a little piece of their life, and you say, let's focus on your medicine cabinet. Let's focus on your closet. You break it apart and do
a small bit.
A small
Right.
bit at a time, and hope that the fever catches?
Well, that's true, because, you know, it's interesting. I was talking with Georgia earlier, and she was saying how...
Georgia's my assistant.
Yes,
your
I'm
money.
sorry.
Right.
But she was saying how she, basically, she was talking about how much she really embraces change and has always been open to it. And it struck me because I don't know a lot of people like that. And certainly the people that I'm working with, and most people, change is difficult. And so the fear of doing something different is frightening. So if you've got someone that's overwhelmed with the chaos and disorder in their life, and they're thinking they have to change it all, that's too big of a...
That's too big. Too big.
And so the smaller the steps you can help them with, the better the chance that the change that you help them make will be lasting, because they don't get afraid of it.
Yeah, so for your book, The Other Side of Disorganized, for folks that that want to embrace change, what is the very first thing you can start doing? You have to first. How do you get yourself motivated? Do you have to talk to yourself and say, "I don't want to live chaotically anymore"?
Well, the first step is absolutely there has to be a desire.
There has to be
a desire.
Right.
I mean, there's a favorite joke of mine. There are these two guys sitting on a porch, rocking chairs. And one guy has his dog next to him, hound dog. And every once in a while, the dog just goes, "Ah," and it just starts to cry, and then he stops. And like every few minutes he's doing it. So the friend says to his other friend, he goes, "Why is your dog making that sound?" And he goes, "Well, he's laying on a nail, and it's bothering him enough to complain about it, but not enough to get up and do something."
Oh, that's a good story. So the disorganization in your life has to be sufficient. You know,
there has to be pain involved.
We don't have much
make
time,
change.
but
Sure.
isn't it also a function too of folks living in small apartments? There's not a lot of storage space. Maybe we should get in before the show. How do you get rid of some clutter that you may not need?
Well, there was two questions there.
I know. And two quick answers.
Two quick answers. I don't think it has to do with how much space you have.
Oh, that's a good point.
Because the more space you have, if you're going to tend to fill, you're going to fill it no matter what the size is.
Exactly. Things fill up space.
Right. The letting go process, if you're struggling with it, you may need some help by a friend, family member, professional to help you to do that. And generally, if you can find a way for what you're letting go to go to a place that you're comfortable with, whether it's a donate, giving it to someone that you know will use it, sometimes that helps in the letting go process.
Helps in letting go process. Mm-hmm. Okay, well, thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Your topic, and I do see where, and certainly in today's world where things are tough anyway, that little bit of helping yourself could be a big step forward to reducing some stress in your life.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You're watching Getting Your Money's Worth. I'm Judith West. Thanks for watching.